Okay, hi everyone. Uh, Now I want to tell you about discourse analysis. And before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Esra Delima Hutabarat, and you can call me Esra. Okay, the first from discourse analysis is about definition of discourse analysis, and the one is from Brown and Yulee. Uh, and they said like discourse analysis is concerned with the analysis of language in use, and means that discourse analysis focus on how people actually use language in real life communication rather than studying grammar or individual sentence in isolation. And the main feature, according to Brown and Yule, is focus on context. That's the understanding language according to the our situation in environment. And the second one is language in real use. That's studying actually communication, not isolate the sentence. And number three is implied meaning. This is the analyze that what speaker means, not just what they say. And the number four is interactional function. That's examining how people use the language to interact and achieve goals. And the number five and the last is beyond grammar. That's considering tone, situation, and social relationships. For the examples, the first is when the speaker A say, "It's cool in here," and the speaker B replies like, "I will close the windows." And that's the first speaker is not directly asking but indirectly requesting an action, and the meaning is understood through context, not grammar. The example number two is when mothers say like the trash can is full. She usually doesn't just make an observation but implies that someone should take the trash out. Here, discourse analysis help us to see how everyday sentence carry hidden intentions understood through shared experience and context. Okay, the second one definition of discourse analysis is according to G. The G say like discourse analysis study how language in use in a social and cultural perspectives and identities. This means that language is not only a tool for communication, but also a way to express who we are, where we come from, and how we relate to others. Through discourse, people saw their social rules, culture values, and identities. Okay, the main feature of discourse analysis based on the G perspective is focus on language as a social practice, identity construction through language, and the influence of cultures and power in communication, and also the way meaning depends on social context. The example is when a student says to a teacher, "Excuse me, sir, can I ask a question?" And the student uses formal and polite language that shows respect and recognizes the teacher's higher status. However, when we talking to our friends, the same students might say like, "Hey, can I ask you something?" which reflect equality and friendship. Discourse analysis here focus on how language signals social relationships. Okay, next. The example number two is when someone comment bestie, you slay that outfit. The informal tone and slang indicate a sense of closeness and shared cultural identity, especially among younger speakers. It's so how language use creates belonging and group identity in digital speech. Okay, definition number three is according to Fair Cook. They say he said discourse is a form of social practice that both shapes and is shaped by society. This definition means that language is not only used for communication but also function as a social practice that both reflects and influence the world around us. Okay, the main feature is number one is language as social practice. When this language is a part of everyday life and social activity, like the way students speak politely to teachers, so how language follows social norms. Number second one is connection between language, power, and ideology. Number three is language shapes and reflects society. Number four is language change with society. For the example, in the media, a headline such as "Government supports small business recovery after crisis" present the government as a positive and active agent, shaping public perception that the government is caring and responsible. Critical discourse analysis would examine how word choice and farming construct certain ideologies and power image. Okay, the example, the definition of discourse analysis number four is according to Seyfried. The Cyprian say discourse analysis is the study of language use above the sentence level. It focuses on how sentences connect to from meaningful conversation or text. Scriven believe that meaning comes not only from grammar, but also from how people use language in real communication, such as in dialogue, stories, or agreement. Okay, the main features based on Psych say the first is focus on language in context. When discourse analysis look at the language in its real situation, not just an isolated sentence. Number two is cohesion and coherence. It studies how word and sentence are linked together to make clear meaning. Number three is speaker and listener relationships. It examines how people understand each other in communication. Number four is pragmatic meaning. It focuses on what people really mean, not just what they say. For the example, in a daily conversation, when someone say, "It's cool in here," the speaker might not be simply describing the weathers, but indirectly asking someone to close the windows. This shows how context gives meaning beyond the literal sentence, which is a key focus on discourse analysis. Okay, next for the uh, next two definition of discourse analysis number five. It's according to Crystal. Crystal says discourse analysis is the study of connected speech or writing, how sentences and utterances combine to form meaningful communication. It means that language should not be seen as isolated word sentences, but as part of a larger unit that work together to express ideas, intonations, intentions, and relationships. Discourse analysis, therefore, focus on how meaning is built through connection, context, and interaction. Okay, the main feature, the first is connectedness of language. Number two is coherence and cohesion. Number three is context dependence. Number four is interaction and function. Number five is discourse markers and structure. For example, in daily conversation, when someone say, well, anyway, I so get going. It signals the end of a discussion and a desire to live politely. This shows how discourse analysis look at how speakers manage conversation structure using words or praise that signal transitions and social cues. Okay, guys, let's move to a question like why we study discourse analysis. Okay, we study discourse analysis is to understand how language works beyond grammar and sentence. How people use a language to express ideas, build relationships, and shape social realities. It helps us to see how meaning is created through words, tone, and context in both spoken and written communication. By studying discourse, we can identify how language respects power, culture, identity, and ideology in society. Okay, in short, discourse analysis is teach us that language is not only a tool for communication but also a way to understand human interaction and the world around us. Okay, the next topic is spoken discourse. Spoken discourse is language used in real-time communication, such as a conversation or speeches. It is a spontaneous, interactive, and supported by tone, gestures, and context. Meaning depends on situation and relationships. For the example, it's cool here may mean a request to close the window. The next topic is written discourse. Written discourse is language that is planned, organized, and permanent, like essay or articles. It focuses on clarity, grammar, and coherence because there is no direct interaction. For the examples, therefore, the study how a positive effect present logical and formal meaning. Nah, let's do the know about comparison between spoken and written discourse. Although both spoken and written discourse are forms of communication, they differ in how they are produced and understood. Spoken discourse is spontaneous and interactive, allowing immediate feedback between speakers. It depends on tone, gestures, and situation to convey meaning, and meanwhile, written discourse is more planned and organized, focusing on clarity, structure, and grammar because the reader do not share the same time or space. Spoken discourse is dynamic and context dependent, while written discourse is formal, permanent, and text-based. Both serve different but equally important functions in human communication. Okay, the next topic is the difference between linguistic forms and function, along with examples of spoken and written language. First is linguistic forms. Linguistic forms refers to the structure or the way language is organized grammatically and lexically. It focuses on how something is said rather than why it is said. Forms include part of speech, sentence patterns, tenses, or grammatical constructions. For example, can you open the window? This is the form an interrogative sentence or a question form. The number two is linguistic function. Linguistic function is about the purpose or communicative intent behind the utterance. Why something is said, even though a sentence has a certain grammatical form, its function might differ in actual communication. Nah, for example, can you open the window? That's a function like a request, or even to it looks like a question. So form is grammatical while function is communicative. Okay, the next topic is about the role of context in interpretation, pragmatic and discourse context. In pragmatic, context is everything that surrounds an utterance and help determine its meaning. Context include who is speaking, to whom, when, where, and why the communication happens. Without context, the same sentence may have a completely different meaning. Pragmatic focus on how people understand implied meaning beyond literal words. Example, when someone says, "It's cool in here," the literal meaning describes temperature, but in context, it might be a request to close the window. So pragmatic, so the meaning depends on context, not just on grammar or vocabulary. Okay, the next is about discourse context. In discourse context, con- in discourse analysis, context includes how sentences connect to form meaning across larger stretches of text, like conversation, paragraphs, or entire speeches. It examines how meaning is built through cohesions, grammar and vocabulary links, and coherence, like logical relationships and shared understanding. For example, A say, "Can you come to my party tomorrow?" And B answer, "I have to work." So here, B replies, doesn't say no directly, but the discourse context help us interpret it as a polite refusal. Okay, the last topic is about comparison between pragmatic context and discourse context. In pragmatic context, focus on how meaning is interpreted based on the speaker's intention, listener's understanding, and situational factors such as time, place, and relationships. It explains how people use language in real life communication beyond literal meaning. For example, interpreting indirect requests or sarcasm, depending on who is speaking and where the conversation takes place. Meanwhile, in contrast, discourse analysis emphasizes how sentences connect and interact from coherent communication. It deals with the structure and flow of ideas within a conversation or text, ensuring logical relations like cause, contrast, or continuous tension between utterances. So, in summary, pragmatical context concerns meaning and intention in specific situations, while discourse context concerns organization and coherence within language use. So, both are essential for accurate interpretation and effective communication. So guys, that's all for from me. Uh, Thank you for watching and see you. Bye bye.